If you're over 50, the calcium conversation probably sounds, well, pretty familiar.
Oh, yeah. Strong bones need calcium.
And milk is the go-to. We've all seen the ads, maybe even had that advice about, drinking your milk every day.
Definitely. But
Yeah.
let's pause on that for a second.
Okay.
Is milk really the only way? Or even the best way, maybe, especially as we get older?
Right. That's what we're digging into. We looked at some great info you shared, and honestly, some of the answers are kind of surprising. They might change how you think about bone health.
It's amazing how strong that milk-calcium connection is in our minds, isn't it?
Totally.
So our goal today is to look closely at that idea and explore some really practical, maybe unexpected ways to get enough calcium.
Especially if dairy isn't your thing or, just with the natural changes that happen with age.
Exactly. And we're not just making a list. We want to understand why these other foods work, how they help overall health, and crucially.
Okay, so let's get right to it. This idea that milk is like the ultimate calcium king. It's almost baked in, isn't it?
It really is.
But one thing that jumped out from the sources is how our bodies absorb calcium.
Yeah.
It changes as we get older.
That's such a key point. It's not just about the amount you take in.
Right. It's how much you can actually use. So if you're just relying on milk, are you definitely getting the full benefit you expect? Maybe not always.
Probably not, or at least it's not guaranteed. And we should also remember calcium does so much more than just bones.
Yeah, broaden the picture a bit.
Absolutely. It's vital for nerves, for muscles. Think about your heart beating. That needs calcium.
Wow.
And hormone release, too. And just that basic communication, brain to body, keeping us coordinated and moving. So bone health is huge, yes, but calcium's role is really widespread.
Okay, that makes sense. There was this really thought-provoking story about a woman named Mary, 68 years old. She drank her milk religiously, seemed to be doing everything by the book. But then she had a fall, broke her wrist.
Oh, dear.
It makes you stop and think, right, here's someone following the standard advice, but still a fracture. What else was going on?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Mary's situation really highlights that it's not just about how much calcium you swallow.
It's the whole context.
Exactly. The entire diet matters. What else was she eating, or maybe not eating? And her individual absorption rate, how well her body could actually take up and use that calcium. Her doctor pointed that out. It tells us getting enough calcium is, well, more complex than just drinking milk.
Which brings us neatly to some of these other foods. Some are genuinely surprising sources, like way beyond the dairy aisles.
Definitely.
Let's start with one that looks tiny but packs a punch.
Chia seeds.
Honestly, when I saw the calcium numbers, I was floored.
They are remarkable, aren't they? The concentration of calcium in those little seeds is just, wow. Often more calcium per serving than you'd find in dairy.
More than milk.
In some cases, yes, by weight. Plus, you get plant-based protein, loads of fiber for digestion, and those amazing omega-3s.
Which are great for heart and brain health, right?
Yes, exactly. A fantastic bonus.
And what's great, especially if you've got sensitivities or prefer plant-based options, is they're usually really easy on the stomach and so versatile. So how do we actually, use them?
Oh, it's super simple. A really easy way is overnight chia pudding.
I've heard of that.
Just stir a couple of teaspoons of chia seeds into, say, almond milk or whatever you like. Maybe add a bit of honey or cinnamon. Pop it in the fridge.
And in the morning,
you've got this creamy, delicious pudding that's just loaded with calcium. Easiest breakfast ever.
Nice. We actually heard from a listener, Alan. He's 72. He started adding chia seeds to his yogurt every morning.
Okay.
And after a few months, his doctor actually commented on a positive change in his bone density scan.
That's fantastic.
Now, obviously, it might not just have been the chia seed.
Oh, of course. It's the whole picture.
But it really suggests these small additions can genuinely contribute, especially for bone health.
Absolutely. Small steps, big impact, potentially.
Right.
Okay, so for people who like a bit of crunch, let's talk almonds.
Snacking. A classic. We often reach for things that aren't great, but almonds, they could actually help your bones.
Exactly. They're satisfying, crunchy, and yes, they have a decent amount of calcium, but what's really cool is the synergy with another mineral.
Magnesium.
You got it. Magnesium is crucial. Think of calcium as the bricks for your bones.
Okay.
Magnesium is like the foreman telling the bricks where to go, making sure they get used properly in the bone structure and not, ending up somewhere else you don't want them.
Like arteries, maybe?
Potentially, yes. Magnesium helps with that proper placement. And almonds give you both calcium and magnesium, plus vitamin E, a great antioxidant, and those heart-healthy fats.
Nice little package. There was another story, Judy, 65. She just started keeping a jar of almonds on her counter.
Smart move.
Instead of grabbing biscuits or whatever, she'd have a handful of almonds. She said she felt more energetic and she felt like her nails seemed stronger, maybe her bones too.
C. Simple habits. Consistency. That's often the key.
And they're so easy to add in, right?
So easy. A snack on their own, toss them in yogurt or salads. Almond butter on toast is delicious. You can even make your own almond milk pretty easily.
Way better than just a calcium pill alone.
Oh, absolutely. You get the whole food benefit, all those nutrients working together.
Okay, now for something even smaller, but maybe even more potent, sesame seeds.
Yes. Tiny seeds, huge calcium content. It really is amazing.
How much are we talking?
Well, per serving, they can have significantly more calcium than milk. It's quite astonishing.
Wow.
And they bring friends. Zinc, which is important for bone repair and regeneration. Magnesium, again, phosphorus for bone integrity. Plus healthy fats that can help with inflammation, maybe soothe joints.
And again, easy to use.
Super easy. Think tahini, that creamy paste made from sesame seeds.
Love tahini. Hummus.
Exactly, packed with calcium. Or just sprinkle the seeds themselves on salads, stir fries, roasted veggies, even in baking.
You know, one source mentioned this really vivid image. An older person, I think in Lebanon, ate tahini and olive oil daily. And they were like 82 and still walking tall, no cane.
Yeah.
It makes you think about those traditional diets.
It really does, the long-term impact of these nutrient-dense foods.
Now, someone might ask about oxalates in sesame seeds. Does that block the calcium?
That's a fair question. Yes, sesame seeds contain oxalates, which can bind to calcium and reduce absorption a bit.
So is it still worth eating them?
Oh, absolutely. In the context of a balanced diet, especially one with enough vitamin D and magnesium, the overall benefits generally outweigh that slight reduction in absorption. Don't let perfection be the enemy of good, you know? Sprinkle still adds up.
Got it. Okay, switching gears completely now. Seafood, sardines.
Ah, sardines. I know they can be divisive.
Right. The can, the smell, the little bones.
But those bones, they're the secret weapon.
For calcium.
Exactly. When you eat sardines with their soft, edible bones, you're getting a fantastic shot of calcium, a really good amount in just a small serving.
Okay. But here's the kicker. Sardines also naturally contain vitamin D.
The sunshine vitamin, which we need to absorb the calcium, right?
Precisely. It's that perfect combination in one little fish. Calcium plus the key to unlock its absorption.
That's efficient.
Very. Plus, you get those amazing omega-3s for your heart and brain, and high-quality protein, which is super important as we age to maintain muscle mass. Strong muscles support strong bones.
It really is like nature's little calcium capsule, then.
You could say that.
And, you know, one source made a really crucial point. If you're low in vitamin D, just taking calcium pills might not work well. The calcium might not go where you need it. It could even end up in arteries.
That's a real concern. The vitamin D helps direct it properly, so having both together in sardines is a huge advantage.
We heard about this guy, Uncle Joe, his cardiologist, actually recommended sardines for heart health.
Okay, for the omega-3s, presumably.
Yeah, but Joe wasn't thrilled initially. He tried them just mashed with lemon juice on toast, though.
He actually liked it, and he said he felt more energetic.
Yeah.
So, unaccepted benefits all around.
It just shows sometimes you gotta try things, and there are ways to make them palatable if you're hesitant.
Like what? Mashing them up?
Yeah, mash them with mustard and herbs like a tuna salad. Add them to a hearty tomato pasta sauce they kind of melt in, or just simply on crackers with some cucumber. Light, easy, nutritious.
Okay, maybe I'll give them another try. Those little fish are powerhouses.
They really are. Okay, let's swing back to plant-based now. Tofu. Specifically, calcium-set tofu.
Right, because not all tofu is the same for calcium, is it?
Exactly. Tofu is great, very versatile, but for bone health, you need to check the label. Look for tofu made with calcium sulfate as the coagulant.
Calcium sulfate, got it.
That's what loads it up with calcium. It can actually provide a similar amount to a glass of milk per serving.
And it's plant-based, dairy-free, cholesterol-free.
All big pluses, especially for those with sensitivities or specific dietary goals. And you still get good plant protein, iron, magnesium too.
And like chia seeds is kind of a chameleon in the kitchen, right? Takes on flavors.
Totally. Stir fries are classic. Blend silken tofu into smoothies for creaminess and a protein boost. Or cube firm tofu, toss with herbs and spices, and bake it until it's crispy. Makes a great snack or salad topper.
We heard from Carol, a retired nurse. She switched to using more calcium-set tofu, partly for cholesterol reasons, and she found it really helped her levels while still keeping her calcium intake up. It shows how one food choice can tick multiple health boxes.
That's a perfect example of synergy. Okay, last stop on our food tour, the vegetable patch. Leafy greens.
We always hear about kale.
Kale is great, definitely. Good calcium source. And the calcium in kale is quite bioavailable, meaning our bodies absorb it relatively well.
But there's another one.
Collard greens. They often have even more calcium than kale per serving.
Really? Collards.
Yes. And they are nutritional powerhouses too, packed with vitamin K, which is also crucial for bone health, plus vitamins A and C.
And what about oxalates in these greens? Like spinach has a lot, right?
Right. Spinach is high in oxalates, which can hinder calcium absorption. But kale and collard greens, they tend to have much lower levels.
So you absorb more of the calcium from them.
Generally, yes. It's another win for kale and collards.
There was a nice story about James, a gardener, ate collards from his garden all the time.
Hey.
His bone density was apparently well above average for his age. Simple, homegrown food making a difference.
Love that. It's a great reminder.
So the takeaway is, eat both. Rotate them.
Absolutely. Variety is always good. Kale is lovely raw in salads or blitzed into smoothies. Collards are fantastic, gently steamed or sautéed, maybe with a little garlic and olive oil. Include a mix throughout the week.
Okay, so we've got all these great food sources. But you mentioned absorption earlier. It's not just the food, it's how our body uses it.
Precisely. Eating calcium-rich food is step 1. Step 2 is making sure your body can actually absorb and utilize that calcium effectively.
And that involves other nutrients?
Yes, a whole supporting cast. Vitamin D is probably the most famous one.
The sunshine vitamin again.
Exactly. Think of it as the gatekeeper. It opens the door in your gut to let calcium pass into your bloodstream. Without enough vitamin D, the door stays mostly shut no matter how much calcium is knocking.
So, where do we get vitamin D?
Sunshine on your skin is a major way your body makes it, but also fortified foods like some plant milks or cereals and fatty fish like those sardines and salmon.
Okay, what else?
Magnesium, we mentioned it with almonds. Magnesium is needed to actually activate vitamin D, to turn it into the form your body can use.
So D needs magnesium to work properly.
That's right. Good sources are whole grains, nuts, seeds, those leafy greens again, and then there's vitamin K2.
K2. Different from the K in collards.
Slightly different role. Vitamin K1 in greens is more for blood clotting. Vitamin K2 helps ensure the calcium that is absorbed gets directed to your bones and teeth, and importantly, away from soft tissues like arteries.
Oh, wow. Where do we find K2?
It's found in fermented foods, think natto, which is fermented soybeans, some hard cheeses, egg yolks, and grass-fed butter or meat.
Interesting. So it's a team effort. D for absorption, M for activating D, K2 for direction.
Beautifully summarized. It's all interconnected.
Now, on the flip side, are there things that mess up calcium absorption? Things we should maybe limit?
Yes, there are a few things to be mindful of. Excessive salt intake is one.
Too much salt. How does that affect calcium?
High sodium intake makes your kidneys excrete more calcium in urine, so you lose more.
Ah, okay.
What else? Very high caffeine intake. We're talking lots of coffee or tea might slightly hinder absorption too, though moderate amounts are likely fine for most.
And the oxalates we mentioned.
Right. Foods very high in oxalates like spinach, rhubarb, beet greens, they can bind calcium in the gut, making it less available. Doesn't mean avoid them entirely, but maybe don't rely on them as your primary calcium source and don't eat them with your main calcium source at every single meal. Balance is key.
You know, that story about Grace really stuck with me.
Yeah.
She was taking calcium supplements, doing what she thought was right, but still had low bone density. Turns out she was severely deficient in vitamin D.
Ah, the main key.
Exactly. Once her doctor addressed the vitamin D deficiency with supplements and getting more sun, her bone health markers started improving significantly.
It's such a perfect illustration. Just piling on more calcium wasn't the answer. Her body couldn't use it properly without enough vitamin D. You need the right conditions.
Okay, so knowing all this, how much calcium do we actually need per day, especially over 50?
Good question. The general guidelines, like from the National Institutes of Health in the U.S., suggest specific amounts.
What are they roughly?
For men aged 51 to 70, it's about 1,000 milligrams per day. For women in that same age group, it's a bit higher, 1,200 milligrams.
Why more for women?
Primarily due to hormonal changes after menopause, which can accelerate bone loss.
Okay, and after 70?
For everyone over 70, both men and women, the recommendation goes up to 1,200 milligrams per day.
1,200 milligrams, that sounds like a lot.
It can seem daunting, but remember, you don't need to get it all from one meal or one source. It's about the total throughout the day.
So spread it out.
Exactly. If you have, say, chia pudding for breakfast, a salad with almonds and maybe some sardines for lunch, a stir fry with calcium-set tofu and greens for dinner, it adds up faster than you think.
And those fortified plant milks can help too, right?
Definitely. Check the labels, but many are fortified to have as much calcium as dairy milk, sometimes even more. They can be a really easy way to boost your intake.
Okay. How can people keep track without it becoming like a total obsession?
Great point. It doesn't need to be complicated. For some, just being more mindful of including these calcium-rich foods daily is enough.
Just making a mental note.
Yeah, or you could keep a simple food journal for a week or two just to get a baseline sense. There are also phone apps like Chronometer or MyFitnessPal where you can log your food and they'll estimate your nutrient intake, including calcium.
That could be useful.
Or even simpler, just a list on the fridge. Write down the main calcium foods we talked about and tick them off as you eat them through the day or week.
I remember helping my aunt with something like that. We made a little weekly chart just listing the days, and she'd jot down her main calcium sources. She found it really motivating, actually.
See? Whatever works for you, the goal isn't perfection every single day. It's about general consistency over time,
Right.
building those healthy habits.
Right. Consistency, not perfection. I like that.
Absolutely. And now that we've covered all these amazing foods and the importance of absorption and tracking,
Yeah.
how about we put it into action?
Yes, let's make it practical. We thought it would be fun to issue a little challenge.
A 7-day challenge for stronger bones.
I love it. What's the plan?
It's super simple. The challenge is just to consciously include one of these high-calcium, non-dairy foods we discussed in your diet each day for the next week.
Just one a day. That sounds totally doable.
Exactly. We want it to be easy and accessible. So maybe day 1, you try that overnight chia pudding or add chia to a smoothie. Day 2, have a handful of almonds as a snack or add almond butter to your toast.
Easy.
Day 3, sprinkle those sesame seeds on your salad or veggies at lunch. Day 4, maybe brave the sardines on crackers or in pasta sauce.
Right. Challenge accepted.
Day 5, cook up a stir fry with some calcium-set tofu. Day 6, saute some collard greens or add kale to a soup.
And day 7.
Day 7, maybe combine a couple of your favorites or try something new you haven't tried yet from the list. It's flexible.
That sounds like a great way to explore these foods. And while doing it,
Pay attention. Notice how you feel. Any changes in your energy, your digestion, just tune in a little bit to your body.
and we'd love to hear about it.
Absolutely. Come back, share your experiences in the comments or wherever you interact with us. Tell us what you tried, what you liked, maybe what surprised you. Did you discover any favorite?
Yeah, let us know what you might keep doing beyond the challenge week.
Because ultimately, looking after your bones, your overall health,
Yeah.
it's not about finding one magic bullet food.
It's about informed choices.
Exactly. Understanding what your body needs and how nutrients work together. It's that holistic view.
So hopefully this deep dive has encouraged you to maybe rethink some old ideas about calcium.
And to explore the really diverse, delicious, and powerful options that go way beyond the milk carton.
Which leads us to our final thought for you today.
What one small, practical change will you make this week? Just one thing to nourish your bones and your overall well-being.